Welcome to Distress to Joyful, Bailey's Way. I'm your host, Bailey Raber, here to enlighten you and the rest of the world about one of the most misunderstood mental health disorders out there, bipolar disorder. In each episode, we'll learn more about my personal journey with bipolar 2 disorder, how I've struggled with it, and how I've learned to overcome those struggles. Together, we'll laugh, we'll cry, and most importantly, we'll have fun. You'll leave each episode feeling hopeful and stocked full of useful information on how you can better yourself and the world around you. Hello, friends. It has been forever. And I am so excited to be back. I know it's been way too long, and this is going to be the shortest season. I know, I cannot believe I am starting a new season in August. Sounds a little crazy, feels a little crazy, but you know what? Life has been totally crazy lately. Life has been filled with so many things. I'm going to briefly go over them because it's been a lot. But Monish and I officially got married in March of this year. I'm laughing because if you've tuned in before, then you know that I've already been married once in India. And this was our Texas wedding, or what we called our American wedding, as my husband Monish, he is from India. So yeah, like we're done getting married, thank God, because having two weddings, even though both of them were so beautiful and they were so much fun and I loved them, it was stressful. It was so stressful, y'all. I made my wedding dress, which I'm so proud of. If you want to see a highlight reel of our wedding, which was actually done by professionals, like we have a professional 5-minute video done by literally a team of professionals, like videographers, and it is so beautiful. It very well captures and highlights what our wedding day was like in Texas. We have one from our Indian wedding as well. Monish used to work in Bollywood, long story short. So he loves film and cinematography, whatever you call that. Cinematography? I don't know. Film. He loves it. He's obsessed. And so we hired a videographer for both of our weddings. Highly recommend you do that. The day goes by so fast, it's hard to remember everything. So we really love that we have both of our weddings documented, not just in photos, but also in video that we can watch for years to come. That was a rant I was not actually planning to go down. But if you want to see those videos, they are on my YouTube, What is Hey Bales Doing? You can also just check down in the show notes. I'm going to just link them there, as well as I'm going to put a link to my YouTube in the episode description. So if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can just click on it right from there. Other really cool big things that have occurred. One of my I'm so proud of is that I finally finished my associate's degree in fashion design. I don't know why I tear up every time I say that. I think it's because for the longest time, I never thought I would go to school. I never thought I would get a college education or a degree, because for way too long, people doubted me and put me down and told me that I wasn't capable. And most of that was because of my bipolar disorder. So I am so fucking proud to not have only graduated with an associate's degree, but I also maintained a 4.0 GPA the entire time. And I won multiple awards for my garment designs because, again, I was fashion design. So all of that I'm just so proud of. And if you guys want to let me, I don't know, if you guys want to hear more about that, let me know. Like, let me know on Instagram, DM me, comment on one of my stories or one of my posts, and just kind of tell me if that's something you guys want me to dive into in an episode, and I would love to. But yeah, so that was a huge accomplishment. And with that, I had to create a 5-piece collection in order to graduate. And I have a video that showcases all of my beautiful garments. I am obsessed. The collection is called Cultural Harmony, and it is a fusion of Indian formal wear and Western style gowns, and we are fusing them together so that we can wear garments to multiple different events that have a cultural aspect to them but aren't necessarily a sari or a lenga choli. If that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry. You can watch the video of the runway show I'm so proud of. That'll also be in the show notes. It's on my YouTube. I am just really proud. So I wanted to share that with you guys because, again, this is something I thought I would never accomplish, and here I am doing it. So I want that to be a quick reminder that, guys, you can literally do anything you set your mind to. Like, you really can. I remember hearing that quote, you can do anything you set your mind to, for years and years and years, and I didn't believe it for the longest time. And then once I started believing in it is when I started achieving the things I wanted to achieve and realizing that, yes, this is possible. Is it going to be easy? No. Hell no. My last year of college, oh my God, this past year was just, it was a lot. Oh my God, it was a lot. Lots of stressful late nights, overeating. I put on some weight because of it. Just tears, all the things. But it was worth it. I'm so glad I did it. And that moves into the next thing, actually, because, well, actually, that doesn't move into the next thing. I'm getting way too ahead of myself. But I do want to pause because those of you on YouTube, you might see that I chopped my hair off. I did. It is now shoulder length. It literally was from top of the scalp to the ends, whatever you call those. It was like 34 inches long. It was nuts, you guys. It was so nuts. Like, if you're on YouTube, like, look at this photo right here. Look how long my hair was. This is insane. So I actually cut it off and I donated it to a organization called Children with Hair Loss. I actually am working on a YouTube video that talks more about why I gave my hair to them. So if you guys want to tune into that, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and you can learn more because I have a really kind of cool story that goes along with it and why I chose them. But speaking of other exciting things, you may have noticed that my setup is different than before. I'm not in my crazy pink chair right now. And that is because my husband and I have relocated to New York City. It is such an exciting time in our lives. And again, that goes back to my degree in fashion design. So long story short, when I started this degree, it wasn't meant to be a degree. I was just meant to take a few classes and then come to New York City and go to FIT. Well, I ended up finishing the degree. I'm so glad I did. I loved my professors. I loved the program. I loved everything about my time at the fashion department of Houston Community College. I seriously loved it. And I'm glad I stuck it out, and I'm glad I finished the associate's degree, which is the highest degree that they offer in this program. Because now my husband and I have moved to New York City, and I'm working on job hunting up here. So if you want to see how that's all going, yeah, I guess I'll update you. You can also look at my personal Instagram, what is Hey Bells doing, because I'll post when I finally get a job, however long that's going to take. But us moving to New York City, this has been a long time in the making. It's been a 5-year plan. It was October of 2020 when we kind of talked all this through, and then we actually made it happen in July of this year, of 2025. So almost 5 full years. So if you want to know more about this whole transition, I literally have an entire series on YouTube, and y'all don't get mad because I know I haven't been doing podcasting, but I've been doing YouTubing. Some of y'all getting real pissed right now, and I totally get it. But hey, I'm back. We're back to podcasting, and we're also YouTubing. Like, it's a beautiful world. We're doing lots of things. It's nuts. So speaking of New York City, that actually brings us to the topic of today's episode, which is understanding the feeling of home. So what does it mean to feel at home? That is a great question. And that is a question that I spent a lot of my life not having an answer to. So if you've been a long-time listener, you might have already listened to an episode from season 4 that I had, which was titled, I Hated Being in My House While Growing Up. Here's why. And in this episode, I get really raw and vulnerable about not feeling welcome in my own home while growing up. And guys, that caused a lot of issues that trickled their way into adulthood. So for those who haven't tuned in, that episode is going to be linked in today's show notes. I definitely recommend you go back and kind of listen to it because it's the opposite of what today is. So if everything I'm about to tell you today isn't really fitting with you, it might be because you are currently feeling what I used to feel, which is like you don't have a home. There's no place that you belong. Because guys, feeling at home is feeling a sense of belonging. It's feeling like, wow, okay, like I can be comfortable here. I can be myself here. There is so much more to a home than just the roof over your shoulders. And guys, the reason I bring this up is because, like I mentioned, my husband and I literally just moved to New York City 5.5 weeks ago. It's been 5.5 weeks. This is a whole different world compared to living in Houston, Texas. If you guys have never traveled to New York City, it is nuts. It is intense. It is hustle and bustle. Everything is so different than living in a non-metropolitan city. We sold our cars. We literally don't have vehicles because we have so many different options for public transportation here. You don't need them. You really don't. They're more of a liability to have them, to be honest. So that brings me to our transition, guys, it was so smooth. And I was actually nervous. I was telling Monish since October of 2020 that it's going to be really hard for me to adjust. I kept letting him know ahead of time, it's going to be hard for me to adjust. I'm going to need you, blah, 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 X, Y, Z. And y'all, it has not been that at all. And I think that the reason why, this is my speculation and my theory here, is that because Monish and I, we built a home in each other. Home is now a feeling for me. It is not a place. So as long as I have that feeling with me, it doesn't matter where the hell I am, I'm going to be just fine. That's literally what I have learned. So what exactly is this feeling that I am feeling? This feeling of feeling at home to me is, like I mentioned, just a few moments ago, is belonging. I feel like I belong. I feel like I'm allowed to be myself. I feel like this is where I can be comfortable. I can walk around and I can fart in front of my husband and it's no big deal. I'm not embarrassed to do that. I don't feel embarrassed about anything around here. I don't feel uncomfortable. There's a lot of things that I do feel, but then there's, guys, the things that I don't feel. I don't feel excluded. I don't feel unloved. Because yes, there is a feeling of being at home, of feeling at home, but there's also the feelings of not. And that's what my other episode from season 4 was. I was going over all of the different things as to why I didn't feel at home in the house that my parents raised me in. And it had nothing to do with the house. It had nothing to do with the house and everything to do with my family and the interactions that went on in there. So how Monish and I have built this, we have built this environment together to where when we travel across the world, I still feel at home. I still feel at home with him everywhere I go. And that's because we have gotten to a place in our relationship where I feel loved. I never feel judged by him. Oh my God. I never feel judged. That is a huge thing too. I don't feel like I am a burden. I do not feel like I'm a burden. I feel accepted. I feel loved. And Guys, this doesn't just have to be with a romantic partner. Let me make that very, very clear. Because people who grow up with parents who allow them to be themselves at home, who give them, creative freedom, who allow them to express themselves, who give them the space to have big emotions and to feel them and let them know that's okay. Feel it. Who have parents who genuinely love them and don't judge them and allow their kids to be curious and to explore and to belong and to feel included. Guys, these are so, so, so important. This is such an important thing if you are raising a family, if you have a partner. Guys, even with your roommates, you can create a sense of feeling at home with your roommates too. It doesn't just have to be with, family that's blood or, like I said, a romantic relationship. It can be so much more. And that is something that I am so, so grateful that I have now. I'm so grateful that I have this now, that I can be myself and I know that I am loved and that no matter what I do, I'm okay. Like, I'm comfortable here. It wasn't like that for the first 26 years of my life, because honestly, even after I moved out of my parents' house, you guys, I lived on my own for, how many years was that? Jeez. I moved out when I was 18. About 3 months after I graduated high school, I moved out of my parents' house, and I lived in 1-bedroom apartments for the longest time. And while I think everybody should live alone for at least a year of their life, just to kind of learn how to be independent, I do not think it is a long-term solution. As humans, we need connection. And it was good and bad. And the reason I say bad is because I came from a place where I didn't feel at home. So when I moved into a different environment, those feelings, they traveled with me. Changing the place did not make me feel less excluded. It did not make me feel less uncomfortable. It did not make me feel less unlovable. It did not do those things for me. It literally took until I was about 25 when I started to work on loving myself to where those feelings started to melt away. Guys, like, when I moved in to my own apartment, the feelings that I had of being alone in an apartment, I would literally leave any chance I could get. I would sometimes, and this is so embarrassing to say, but I would sometimes get in my car and drive around aimlessly for like an hour or two or more with the music blasting, just because being at home felt so empty and lonely and just uncomfortable, even though it was my apartment. Nobody else lived there. It was just me. But I was not comfortable living. I was not comfortable being in a space that is called a home, to where I would leave. I would stay the night at friends' houses or with boys or whatever. Like, I would get out any chance I could, guys, because I was running from a feeling that I thought was associated with these four walls, which was not at all the case. It was all an internal thing. But I didn't realize that, first of all, growing up in a household where I did not feel the way I needed to feel in order to turn into a thriving adult meant I was going to have to do the work myself. Because I didn't love myself until I was about 25. That's when I learned that, like, damn, I really don't love myself. Like, fuck, like, what do I need to do that? And so, guys, all of this is to say that the four walls that you live in they do not define who you are. They don't. Yes, it sucks if you grow up in an environment where you do not get the nurturing that you need. I know firsthand. And sometimes our parents, they're doing the best that they can, but it's just not enough. And that sucks. But now as an adult, if you can recognize that and you can say, damn, I didn't get what I needed. Now I'm an adult, I can give myself what I need. It's called parenting yourself. That's like a literal term that they use in therapy, or reparenting. Where now you're an adult, so you're responsible for your own emotions and behaviors and feelings. So you have to parent yourself. You have to teach yourself that it's okay to express your emotions. You have to teach yourself that it's okay to feel fucking angry, but it's not okay to punch a hole in the wall. You have to do this because no one's going to do this for you anymore. And it fucking sucks that nobody did it for you when you were 6 years old, 8 years old, whatever. It fucking sucks and it's not fair. And I get that. I totally get that. But now you have a choice as an adult. Do you want to continue to live feeling uncomfortable in your own skin? Or do you want to live a life where you love yourself and you love what you're doing and you have joy and you're comfortable and things are great? Because that's what I've chosen. I've chosen to do the work and to work on figuring out what makes me happy, figuring out what I need to feel comfortable in my own skin, which then allows me to feel comfortable in my own home. Guys, if you're living in a situation where being yourself is not something you can do right now, like maybe you're still living at home with your parents, or you're living with roommates who suppress you anytime you try to express yourself. Guys, if you're able to get out of the situation, I definitely recommend it. Not everybody is able to, and I totally understand that, but the first step is getting yourself out of that environment. The next step is then working on, what can I do? And guys, this is something that I definitely recommend that you seek help from an actual therapist. I'm not a therapist. I do not claim to be one at all, but I'm just letting you know what worked for me and how the process actually worked. Like, I really wish I would have had this epiphany so much sooner. I wish that when I first moved out of my parents' house and I still didn't feel comfortable being, in my own home, even though I was the only person that lived here, I really wish I would have had some type of, I don't know, like mentor or guide or something to tell me like, hey, you shouldn't be feeling like this while you live by yourself. Like, there's some work we need to do here. Because I literally wasted so many hours and so much money on gas just driving around aimlessly. Y'all, like, so many people wanted me to start an Etsy shop for years. Like, since probably 2014 or whenever Etsy first came out, people have always said, you are great at sewing, you should start an Etsy shop and sell things. But the problem was, I could not stay home long enough to concentrate to work on projects. I just couldn't do it. I could not be in a home alone by myself. I had, even like being in a car felt more comfortable than being in my own home, guys. That is fucking insanity. That's fucking insanity. So again, all of this is to say that, guys, a home is not a place. It's a feeling. And it's a feeling that we can cultivate. If I did it, if I figured out how to cultivate a sense of comfortability, of belonging, of acceptance in myself, and now I have that within my partner, who I also give the same to, right? Like, I'm accepting of him. I allow him to be himself. I allow him to express his emotions because, guys, it's a two-way street. I now have an environment where I feel like home. I feel like home. And I really, truly believe that's what made this whole transition to New York City so much easier. Because if Monish and I were not in a good place and, you know, we moved and we were fighting in chaos and whatnot, then it wouldn't be the same. But I truly believe since we have established a sense of home within ourselves and within each other, we didn't have issues. Sure, we had some bumps in the road on the way here and getting set up and whatnot, but doesn't matter where you live as long as you have that feeling of home. So on the next episode, we are going to discuss how to cope with losing friends. So whether that's because of a fight or you gradually drifted apart or life just took you in different directions, no matter how a friendship ended, it's never easy. And that episode is also tying into today's episode because I have a huge life transition where I moved halfway across the country. So unfortunately, there are friendships that I've noticed have already disappeared. There were some that were disappearing before I even moved. And yeah, I mean, I've had my fair share of ups and downs with friendships over the last few years. So I'm going to talk with you about what I have done to cope with the loss of friendships and what you can do to help, because it sucks. No matter how you look at it, it sucks. But there are ways to make it less sucky, to make it more bearable, and to just be able to get through it. And we're going to talk about that in the next episode. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, stay grateful, and be joyful. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Distressed to Joyful Bailey's Way. Head on over to whatisheybellsdoing.com to find the resources mentioned throughout this episode. Be sure to follow the show on Instagram at distressed2joyful_Bailey's Way and on Facebook at Distressed to Joyful Bailey's Way. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating on your favorite podcast listening platform or write a review on Audible or Apple Podcasts. Lastly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with new episode releases. Until next time, take it easy, stay grateful, and be joyful. Bye!